What we have here is the Nissan GTR, a sports car that offers hypercar speed for the price of a luxury executive sedan. And today, I'm in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, to show you why I think this is one of the most revolutionary cars to ever come out of Japan. After that, I'll show you some of my favorite features, take it for a drive and give you some driving impressions, and then in the end, I will point out some of the things that you should look for if you're planning to buy one. The Nissan Skyline GT-R, a name synonymous with power, performance, and innovation, has etched its mark on the automotive world. Born out of a rich heritage, the GT-R has evolved from humble beginnings to become an icon of automotive engineering. The roots of the Nissan Skyline GT-R can be traced back to the 1950s, when the first Skyline model was introduced by the Prince Motor Company in Japan. Initially designed as a luxury car, it wasn't until the late 1960s that the GT-R variant emerged, incorporating a range of performance upgrades. This inaugural GT-R, known as the Hakosuka due to its boxy shape, features a powerful inline-six engine, advanced suspension, and aerodynamic styling cues, as you can see here. In 1969, Nissan acquired Prince Motor Company and embarked on a journey to redefine the Skyline GT-R. The subsequent generations, including the Kenmeri and the R30, cemented the GT-R's reputation as a formidable sports car, both on-road and on the racetrack. With notable successes in motorsport, including victories in the grueling Japanese Touring Car Championships, the GT-R's legend continued to grow. The true turning point, however, for the Nissan Skyline GT-R came in 1989 with the introduction of the R32 model. It came equipped with advanced technology like an all-wheel drive system called the etched, a turbocharged inline-six engine, the RB26D ETT, and sophisticated engine management. The R32 GT-R set new benchmarks in performance and handling all over the world. It dominated in motorsports, particularly in Group A racing series, showcased its exceptional capabilities, and propelled the GT-R to international fame. The success for the R32 GT-R paved the way for subsequent generations that capture the heart of enthusiasts worldwide. The R33 and R34 models, introduced in the late 90s and early 2000s, respectively, pushed the boundaries of performance even further. These iterations feature improved aerodynamics, enhanced engine output, and advanced technological innovations, solidifying the GT-R status as a true supercar. Production of the R34 GT-R ended on August 29, 2002, sadly. Production of non-GT-R Skylines continued in Japan, eventually making its way to the US in the form of the Infiniti G35 four-door sedan and coupe variants, later replaced with the G37 four-door sedan and coupe. We never got any of these previous GT-Rs in the US, legally anyways, although one can argue that some of the cars imported by Motor X under false pretenses are in fact legal in the US. But in 2007, Nissan launched this, the R35 GT-R, and offered it here in the US market, making a significant departure from its predecessors. Embracing cutting-edge technology, the R35 featured a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V6 engine that produced a heart-pounding 480 horses. All that power is sent to all four wheels through a lightning-fast 6-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission with advanced all-wheel drive system and an array of driver-focused features. The R35 showcased Nissan's commitment to engineering excellence and instantly became a benchmark for performance cars globally. So that's enough of a history lesson. Now let's walk around the car, take a look at the interior, while I'll show you some of my favorite features, take it for a spin, and give you some driving impressions. And then in the end, I will show you some of the things that you should look for if you're planning to buy one. Now, Now, one of the first features I want to highlight is actually the design of the GTR. It's very Japanese, very boxy, but incredibly aerodynamic. You can see how square everything looks, but once you start to get closer, you start to see how everything is nice and round and smooth and diverts the air to flow very dynamically across the car all the way through the back. It is quite an interesting and unique design. And right before we step inside, I want to highlight two of my favorite features in these cars, and is the outside door handle as well as the one on the inside. We'll look at the inside in a second. But to open the car, you put your finger in here and the handle pops out and you just pull. Now, what this allows you to do is have a completely flushed exterior for aerodynamical purposes. The actual door handle as well has this little canard built into it to just allow airflow to not create turbulence around here. It is a fantastic design. I absolutely love it. It reminds me a lot of my Mark III Supra. And then stepping inside the GTR, as I mentioned before, the inside door handles are also another one of my favorite features because they're flushed with the interior. And what you do is you grab this little handle here and you pull up, allowing you to open the door. This is exactly how my Mark III Supra works as well. Love that design. One of my favorite features in here as well. Next, looking at the interior, obviously the infotainment with all the performance data available in this system, it is just incredible. You can toy around with this, and this was actually one of the very first cars, if not the very first car, to actually offer such an enormous amount of information and configurations for the driver to choose. Prior to this was only seen in the aftermarket world. As you can see here, we have multiple screens to choose from, 1 through 5, that gives you very detailed information about the performance of the car, the status of the car, and some of these are also configurable, so you can choose what you want to see in here and at what time. So the infotainment system is quite amazing, and I just love the R buttons right here. This whole setup is just very nice. And just to wrap up the interior, we have here your standard, sunglasses case and your lights, and that's about it for the top. Here you have your radio controls, your climate controls, and as I mentioned before, these are driver controllable or configurable settings for your transmission, your suspension, and your traction. Moving along, we have a really nice steering wheel here with a bunch of features and buttons that allow you to have multiple uses of your entertainment system, cruise control here, as well as your launch control. And in here you have your dash cluster, which as you can see, 60 is right there. It's such a short distance, you can barely see it, and you get there really quickly. And then it allows you to really break the law right around this area here. And then a lot of your standard stuff here, you can see your turn signal stock, your wipers, it's very standard Nissan stuff, same as the hood latch opener thing here. Your paddle shifters are here and they're fixed, which is a good, nice thing to have. They don't move with the steering wheel, as you can see, they stay fixed. Right here you have your gear shifter. As you can see, the pattern is highlighted right up here. You have to move it back for reverse, middle to neutral, and then bring it back down for drive. And then you have the option to have auto or manual. And next, I want to show you the engine, because it's another one of my favorite features of this car. Let's pop the hood here, pretty much just like any other Japanese car. Now, let's pop this here. Put the hood stick here. Now, wow, these hoods are incredibly hot, and I would have guessed that these would have been made out of aluminum, but I believe this is actually steel. It's actually quite heavy, to be honest, and very hot. Talking about the engine here of the GTR, this incredible V6 twin turbocharged engine that it is hand built by Takumi, which are basically master craftsmen in Japan who have to have gone through about 20,000, 30,000 hours, I believe, to be called a Takumi. So master craftsmen in Japan. And you can see here some of the modifications that have been done to this particular model. This is a FBO GTR, a full bolt-on GTR, which has, you know, intake, exhaust, etc., and a tune to allow you to extract some of that power that these cars are capable of. But, you know, looking here, incredible design. I love how they were able to, you know, put the intake right up top and have this amazing design here. Obviously, if you go to the aftermarket world, you'll be able to see incredible intakes for these cars, but, you know, at a much higher cost. But I just absolutely love that these cars are hand built in a surgical room, basically, by Takumis, people who are experts at their craft, and it shows. These engines can output an enormous amount of power and are not really known for having any issues. And now for my favorite part, let's go for a drive. Now driving the GTR, get it in gear here. Now to engage launch control, I've been told by the owner that keep it on manual. So there's a manual, and then set this to off. There we go. These two R's to on, that's the suspension, the transmission. Turn cruise control on, then step on the brake, step on the gas. And there you go. Woo! And that's how you launch the Nissan GTR. Now driving the GTR, what a fantastic sports car this car is. It's a little bit on the heavier side, but you don't really feel that way too much. It handles incredible, and the V6 twin turbo actually gets you going pretty quickly. So you don't feel like it's a heavy car at all. Now this is a very cumbersome car for daily driving. You see all this jerking that the transmission is doing? This is all normal, by the way. You can upgrade the tune on the transmission, and that would help a little bit, but this is completely normal for 27 and below cars. Earlier cars are even worse. Now if you're looking for something more refined and still want a GTR, that's fine, just get a 2017 and above. But how cool is this interior? I mean, you feel that you're driving something special just being inside of this car. I love that the paddle shifters are fixed. They don't move with the steering wheel, so that you know they're always there. Everything is within reach. Very comfortable position for driving. It does feel very sedan-ish, you know, to be honest. The seats, you do have good bolstering support, lumbar support, and all that. Now, as a daily driver, this car, I don't think it's going to be very good for a lot of people. It's clunky. It makes noises. As you hear me talk about the, you hear that? That's how it normally is. And sometimes you hear the shifters. If you baby this car, it just doesn't like it. It doesn't drive well when you baby it. It likes it when you go fast. And that's what it was designed for. Let me put the windows up so you can hear me a little bit better. Man, just an incredible car, very, very stable. It stays true. It does feel like a highly tuned Japanese car. It truly does. If you take anything that you've taken to a tuner, put coilovers on, you put, you know, a high performance transmission, big turbos, anything like that, that's what this car feels like. Yes, I know this one has some power adders put on, but in terms of the suspension is completely stock, transmission is stock, but it feels like a highly tuned Japanese car, which it is. And now you are really pumped and excited to buy one of these. So allow me to highlight some of the things that you should look for if you're planning on buying one. Now, I made a video to show you general things to look for when buying any car, like body shape, signs of wear, leaks, etc. The link to that is included below. Use that as your starting point. But now let's dig into things to look for this car specifically that I think could be very costly repairs. Keep in mind that it's never a bad idea to bring along a car-savvy friend with you who is familiar with these cars to help you look for things. If you find one that you have your heart set on, I would also recommend that you get a PPI or a pre-purchase inspection done by an experienced GTR shop or the dealer if you must. It'll be the best $200 you spend on the car. When looking to buy an R35 GTR, there's really two generations that we're looking at. The first gen cars are built from 2009 to 2016, and the second gen runs from 2017 and on. Within the first gen cars, there's three categories that I'm going to divide the cars by, as they share many of the issues and features. First category is the 2009 to 2010 cars, second category is 2011 to 2013, and third is 2014 to 2016 cars. Most of the issues are found on early cars, as it is the case with pretty much any new platform. However, unless I specifically state the model year, assume the issue applies to the entire range. Right, so let's jump right into it. And the first thing that I want to point out is the engine. Not necessarily because there's an issue here, but it is usually the first thing you think about when buying a car. Now, I wanted to discard this right away. Don't even worry about it. These engines are bulletproof, and I haven't heard of anyone blowing up one of these engines. So unless the car you're looking for has over 100,000 miles and lots of track use, remove this as a concern. And the next three things that I want to highlight have to do with the transmission right below us. The first is transmission overheating. The GTR's dual clutch transmission is a marvel of engineering, but some owners have reported instances of transmission overheating, especially during aggressive driving or track use. So it's important to have regular maintenance and using high quality transmission fluid to service this and help mitigate the problem. This is especially true on cars built from 2009 to 2010. These transmissions, just as the engines, are hand-built in Japan and are a replacement unit. So if you're lucky enough to find a shop that can work on these transmissions, a rebuild can cost you right around $10,000, but it would yield a much more robust transmission in the end. Next, I want to talk about the transmission shudder. Some owners have experienced a shuddering sensation during low speed maneuvers or when engaging first gear. This issue is often fixed just by simply doing a software update. There's been cases where you have worn out parts that need to be replaced. If that is the case, you have to have it checked out by a dealer or a reputable GTR shop who is familiar with these transmissions. And then the last thing is the clutch basket. Many owners have been reporting issues with the clutch basket. The odd gear clutch basket is the most common to break on the R35s, but it can also happen on even gear clutches. So this will give a clutch overheat warning and disable your reverse 1, 3, and 5 gears. There's aftermarket billet replacements for just a few $100 plus labor. Unless broken, this is hard to diagnose, which makes it even more important to get a PPI done when buying one of these cars. I want to talk about the fuel system sensor failures. There have been many reports of fuel system sensor failures in the GTR, which can result in inaccurate fuel level readings or gauge malfunctions. Replacing the faulty sensors is typically the solution here. And the next item I want to highlight is right below us, has to do with the suspension. There's been reports of suspension noises coming from suspension components, such as squeaks or rattles. This issue can usually be resolved by inspecting and lubricating the suspension components or replacing worn out parts. Next, let's talk about the turbocharger. Some GTR owners have experienced stock turbocharger failures or issues such as leaking or reduced performance. Regular maintenance and proper care, including allowing the turbochargers to cool down after you step on it quite a bit, can help prolong their lifespan. So be sure to inspect the car for smoke coming out of the tailpipe and give yourself enough time to test drive the vehicle while driving under varying conditions to work out any kinks or issues. The next issue I want to highlight has to do with the brake rotors warping. Due to the GTR's high performance nature, the brake rotors can sometimes warp under intense braking, leading to vibrations or pulsations on your brake pedal. Upgrading to aftermarket brake pads or opting for performance brake rotors can help alleviate this issue. Pads and rotors from Nissan are about $7,000. So there's a lot of other cheaper aftermarket options out there with similar performance characteristics. So do your research before you decide to change these puppies. Then moving along, right around this area is the differential and transfer case noises. A few owners have reported noises or clunking sounds coming from the differential or the transfer case. This issue can be addressed by inspecting and replacing worn out components or using specialty lubricants. Now, as I discussed during the drive, some of these noises are normal, so you have to know how to differentiate an issue from a standard noise. Next is the headlight moisture. Up until 2015, R35 GTRs can have headlight issues with trapping moisture. Be sure to thoroughly inspect the headlight for signs of moisture. Also ask the seller if they've had issues with moisture in the headlights, as you may not see it depending on the weather that day. As you can see, this car had these headlights replaced. If you are looking into a FBO car such as this one here, be sure to review the mods with the seller. R35 GTRs are mostly solid cars, especially in this field of high performance automobiles, so there isn't much to worry about. Thanks so much everybody for watching. I hope that you find this video helpful and informative. If you do, please give me a like, comment below anything that I may have missed, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.